Welcome. Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session here Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I try to do this every single week. I've missed only a couple of weeks lately, so this is a open forum. You're welcome to ask any kind of questions, whether it's on the state of Utah, United States. Maybe you're joining us from another country and you have questions in general about the United States. Be glad to answer anything that I can. And basically an open forum. So just shoot your questions and we'll go from there. I don't have a lot of other content this evening. It's been, I just got home about 30 minutes ago. So it's been a long day. It's been a warm day in the state of Utah. We've been on a little bit of a heat wave. It looks like the whole country or majority of the country has been on a heat wave, and Utah is no exception to that rule, it looks like. The afternoons in northern Utah are warm. In southern Utah, they're also warm also. So this time of year, the mornings are still great. So if you're golfing or any kind of outdoor activities, the morning time is the desired time to head out. So that's about mostly what we've got going on in the state of Utah. I did want to share a little bit. I had some questions on, try to share the screen here. Okay. I had some questions in general on some people were trying to figure out, what are the major areas throughout the Salt Lake Valley that you potentially see traffic and stuff like that. Our interstate system here is comprised of only a few interstates. The largest is I-15. And that runs basically north to south throughout the whole state. We also have Interstate 80 that comes over here from Nevada all the way across, goes all the way up and heads up into Wyoming area. That is some of our pretty much major freeways that we have. You also have further south, you have Interstate 70. That can take you into Colorado. Yeah, you pick it up down here like in Scipio or down here to Gunnison and come over here to 70, take you into Colorado. But, I would consider them, I don't know if smaller is the correct word, but less traveled roads. Your Interstate 80 and your I-70 receives less traffic than what I-15 will do throughout the state. You do get I-80 is an area a lot of truckers take trying to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. You'll also see them come in from Evanston, Wyoming, and they're going to the Northwest area. So you would come in on 80 into Ogden and then take I-15 north, and it will split off to Interstate 84 or to take you up towards Boise, or I-15, it takes you up towards Pocatello and Idaho Falls. So Interstate 84 is also an interstate here in Utah, but predominantly you'll have I-15. Now, as far as traveling during commute times, et cetera, the busiest is I-15 coming right through Salt Lake City all the way down to the Provo-Orem area. So the Lehigh area here, it backs up on the freeway here. It is better than what it used to be. They have added lanes, but it can still be slow and go. It does get slow pretty much throughout all of Salt Lake Valley, Draper, West Jordan, right down to downtown Salt Lake City. It can be stop and go and slowdowns, et cetera. And then going north, you'll have some slowdown for about the first 5 or 10 miles north. heading up towards the Ogden area, then it starts to thin out. And then once you get past Ogden, it's pretty much smooth sailing unless there's a traffic accident. But basically along I-15. So if you have to get onto I-15 during the rush hour traffic is where you will see the greatest slowdown pretty much in the state. Interstate 80, both directions, I don't see any slowdown. There might be a little bit of slowdown from time to time, but when I've traveled it, I've never had any kind of problems. So that was a question that I had. Throughout the valley. Osmo, good morning. Good morning. It's good evening for the people in the state of Utah right now. I imagine it's probably about 3 or 4 in the morning for you. So that's where some of the traffic will congest, and so those areas are the main areas. Another question I had this week, or another question, I can't remember who answered that for me, but they were looking for a cooler spot to go, relief from the temperatures. See if we can reduce this a little bit. We have what we refer to as the Uinta Mountains. It's an area that I've been to many times. It's very popular. Pretty much this whole area right here. Usually on the map, I think they usually list it, but it doesn't seem to want to pop up. But, oh, there we go. The Uinta Wasatch Cache National Forest. That would be the official name. It's referred to in Utah as the Uinta Mountains. You have elevations in this area of about 10,000 feet in some areas, as high as probably 10,000 feet. There's a couple ways to get to the Uinta Mountains. Basically, this road here, coming out of Evanston, Wyoming, goes all the way through the forest. So if you are coming from Salt Lake City area, you can go up towards Park City area over to Camas and make your way. If you're coming from the Provo area, you can also come up towards Camas and make your way through the mountains. If you are in north of Salt Lake City, the preferred route typically is to go to Evanston, Wyoming, and travel down the road into the Uinta Mountains. So it's a great location. You're probably 15 degrees, maybe 20 degrees cooler than what it will be along the Wasatch Front, mostly due to the higher elevation that they have. So it's a great recreational spot. On those hot days, you want to take a day out, go hiking, fishing, ride your mountain bike. Great area. We have a great time. We'll picnic a little bit up here, and there's quite a few hiking spots that we enjoy. One around a large lake, and also one that's right up like a waterfall. So we really enjoy that. A couple of those areas. And it's nice and cool. So if you're looking for an area to escape some of the heat, that's the place to go. All right. I saw a news article here in Finland that was about the droughts in Utah and how it's affecting the local farmers. It must be sad to see the smaller farms quit due to hard times. Yeah, I'm not aware of any farmers that have, quote, quit due to drought conditions that I'm aware of. The water has been cut back from farmers, but the state is doing everything it can to supply the farmers with the most amount of water that they can. It's not only in this state, it's happening in Idaho, an area that the water was flowing really well. But the farms up there are also on a little bit of a cutback also in some areas. So, but yeah, it's the water situation, and I might still have the report from last week I had sitting here. It's I sure do. Northern Utah, our reservoirs are at anywhere from say 78% to 103%. There's one in Summit County that'd be up by the Park City area. So, and some of that's to do with the fact that we received rainfall in like June and May and April, and it raised it. But in southern Utah, in the southern part, we've got reservoirs down there that are as low as 0.23%, 1.48%, 10%, 13%, 15%, 17%, 20%. Lake Powell's at 26%. And Lake Powell is being fed water from Flaming Gorge. So as I look at the map again, so as we speak, here's Flaming Gorge over here. They are pumping water all the way from Flaming Gorge all the way down to Lake Powell to help fill Lake Powell. And they're still at 26%. That's where some of the problem lies, is Northern Utah's not doing too bad, but we have room for improvement. And I think the farmers, I'm hoping that the farmers get some relief in the next couple years. There's a real big push in Northern Utah right now for desert landscape. It's the first time I've ever seen people. I mean, I've seen some desert landscaping before when people are putting on new builds, possibly. But we have people right now that are in existing homes, like myself or my neighbors. My neighbor did this exact same thing. The front strip out front between the sidewalk and the road, he tore all that out and what they call xeriscape. And on the side of his house, he's got about an 8-foot section by maybe 40, 50 foot deep. And that's all now rock. He took the grass out. So he's saving maybe 10, 15% of water. But I'm seeing that happening more often. It's not uncommon now to drive by neighborhoods that have some form of desert landscaping. And a lot of that has happened just this year. So there's a big push for that. So water conservation is something that is new, pretty much new for people in Utah. We've had water just flowing and grass has always been green, and we've never really thought about it in a sense. But they've taken measures. So at my house and in many other houses, not every house, some homes have what they call secondary water or irrigation water. Basically comes from the mountain. It's untreated, unfiltered. It's designed to be used for your garden or your grass. It's not drinkable. It has not been treated. So, but it used to just be a valve that turned on and off at my house, just on and off. Well, about 2 years ago, they started putting meters on them. So they're slowly in the process of putting meters on them. And this is the first time that I now have a restriction this year. You're allocated of that particular water, you're allocated so many gallons per week. And if you exceed, the first time you exceed it, I believe it's a warning. The second time is like a $50 fine. Third time is like $1,000 fine. I think on the fourth time, they actually put a lock on it. You'll have no secondary water. So are there homes that they put locks on? I'm really not sure. I haven't heard of any, but we are taking measures now to reduce water consumption. And we have a long, long way to go as a state, a long way to go. But if we can save water, especially in northern Utah, it would help out southern Utah and it would help out the farmers. And that's who I'd like to see help out, is the farmers. That's our food chain right there. Complete food chain right there. So, We have a long way to go, but I think the state can get there. And I would imagine probably the lawmakers next year's session, I imagine it will be a hot topic on water conservation and what more can be done. What other items can be done. So I can think of a lot that can be done. So, and I'm sure that they can also. But we're getting there. We've got a long way to go. But I think it's finally the residents of Utah. We're basically changing our minds, and we will. I think we'll get there. So there's a lot more we can do. Any bears out there? I've never seen a bear up in the Uinta Mountains, but I would imagine there is. So I think it really depends on. So what I call two areas. There's the tourist area, and then there's kind of like the backcountry. If you're in like the tourist area where they've got the lakes and the maybe the hiking trails for beginners like myself, or I don't think you would come across any. Now, there are hikers out there that go on really long hikes, miles and miles into the backcountry. Possibility you could come across a bear or a cougar in some of those areas. So, how are taxes for disabled veterans? Wow. Rack my brain on that one. I don't know 100%. So I can tell you what I'm aware of. And this is only going to be a small fraction because my dad's a veteran, but he's not a disabled veteran. So there might be some additional tax breaks. When he registers his car as a veteran, he gets a discount on the what we call the property tax portion of registering your vehicle. I believe, I think he gets a little bit of a deduction off of his property taxes. And I'm not 100% certain. I would have to ask him on that. But that's about the two that I'm aware of. As far as taxes go, and you definitely would have to check on the latest law on this because I'm not too sure if it passed or it did not pass, possibly. But my dad was telling me that, so for state income tax on his retirement check, he used to pay state income tax on it, but they were supposed to change the law, I think this year, or they had a bill in the law to change it. Whether or not that passed or not, I'm not too sure. But they were going to eliminate paying state income tax on your retirement check, is what he had told me. So I would have to do some more research on that and find out if that did pass. But that's some of the ones that I'm aware of. Like I say, I'm definitely not an expert in that area. But yeah, it's it's kind of a sore subject with me, over the last 2 years on the whole VA loan thing. So it's a sore subject for me. When you mention about veterans, I think that in the United States, veterans basically get screwed on the VA loan in a sense. I mean, yeah, they don't have closing costs or money down, deposit money down, but typically a lot of sellers won't take VA loans because the VA loans or the VA appraisals are sometimes tougher. The inspection policy with VA. So there's sellers out there literally will not accept a VA loan, and it's up to the seller. If I go to list somebody's house, they get the option. Will they accept cash, Bitcoin, FHA loan, cash, conventional, VA loan? And they can choose not to take like FHA loans or VA loans. And when they do not allow VA loans, and I've seen it many times, and I could probably pull up many listings right now, I think it's a disservice to our veterans. I think it's a big slap in the face. So how we can change that, I don't know. I've had some thoughts myself, but I'm not happy with the VA loan process. I think there needs to be some change. And I've actually had a plan in my mind for veterans that the government should, say, take it out a $300,000 loan. I think maybe the government should back it somehow to the fact that because you are a VA loan, you can go higher than asking price to give a benefit to veterans. So, and how that would work, I don't know if maybe the amount above, say it only appraises for $300,000, but you offer $325,000. But, you know, on a conventional loan or how it is now with a VA loan, they're only going to loan $300,000. So you've got to come out of pocket with $25,000 if you were going 325. So maybe there can be some kind of leeway or something at where the government says, hey, that's okay, because that extra 25,000, you know, we're going to help the veterans out, and we're going to make it a grant or a separate payment or something along those lines, so that veterans have a advantage or a benefit that they deserve. So that's my little rant about the VA loans. Well, a little bit off topic, but do you think the population growth of Utah will make the water shortage problem even bigger in the long run? Yes, more people move here, the more water consumption that we do. But, you know, there's a lot that we're not doing that can be done. So a lot. Everywhere I go, I see areas that, you know, I was just the other day driving in a neighborhood, one of the cities, they had what they call a splash pad. And it's something that's very popular in Utah. So the water just shoots up in the air and the kids run through it and they have a great time. Kids have an absolute blast. But I thought to myself, how much water does that use? I mean, it's just gallons of water just pumping. So that's, kids won't be happy with that idea. But I think of things like that when I see it. Can anything be done about the smog air quality? Not particularly. Typically with the, well, yeah, it could be. If we all went to electric cars, it would definitely help a lot. But our smog and air pollution has improved over the years. It's not as bad as what it used to be. And it's mostly because we kind of like live in a little bit of a bowl, and the dirty air gets trapped and it's got nowhere to go. And you have to wait for a storm to come through and blow it out. But our air quality, there was a report, I believe, last year by I think it was the Division of Air Quality, that Utah's air has been on a steady improvement. So, and last winter, I don't really remember a lot of red air days. Now, last summer we had some red air days, but that was due to the California wildfires that came across, and it was nasty. There were days out there I couldn't even see the mountains. It was that bad. Thankfully, we have not had that this year, but we were a victim of the California wildfires. I was thinking about moving from Phoenix to Utah later this year, but I'm skeptical. The weather looks great, but was wondering about the cost of living difference. I have a good credit above 730. Wow. You know, cost of living, it's an easy one when I compare us to like California. But with Phoenix, I would say if we're just talking about home prices, and I really don't know the Phoenix market that well, but I'm taking a wild guess here. I would say our home prices are probably fairly comparable, maybe a little bit higher. I do not know what the property taxes are in Arizona on a home. So that part I do not. So I don't know if there'll be any kind of savings. There's a big savings from say California to Utah when it comes to property taxes. Comparable home here might be $2,000 or $3,000, and in California it could be $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 in property tax. So I mean it's double, triple, or even more. But I'm not too sure with Phoenix on what your property tax rates are. But I do have like the video that I just released today. Actually, I do give property tax in there, or a ballpark. It's hard to say exact, but if you wanted a number that I use, I would say about 0.5 to 0.6% of what the home value is. So say it's $1 million home, your property tax is probably about $5-6 grand a year. That's just a rough number. It changes by city and county. They all have their hands in on it. So there's a little bit here, a little bit there. But when I'm in a home and I have to give like a rough number without looking it up, I usually go with about 0.5% to 0.6%, somewhere around there. So it gives a rough idea. As far as other items, I imagine we're probably pretty comparable with like Arizona. I would say when I look at like food costs, we were probably pretty comparable. As far as I know, no one's ever really told me that like food costs are more expensive in Arizona than Utah. California, I hear that all the time, milk, everything. Gas prices, I'd say we may be about the same. We're right now I think about $4.90 a gallon. So whatever the price is in Arizona. I know, probably about similar. I mean, it might be give or take here or there. We might be similar with Arizona. So that'd be my ballpark. But if you have a specific something specific in mind, I just did the video today on taxes. I'm not too sure if Arizona has a state income tax or not. In Utah, our state income tax is a flat tax. It's 4.95%. So that's real easy to figure out. 4.95%. You do get married, single, dependents, a little bit of a deduction to take off of that. But in general, if you just go 4.95%, we'll give you an idea of what your state income tax would be. Of course, federal tax is going to be the same all across the country. It's about what most of it is. I would say to register a vehicle in the state of Utah, it varies depending on what year it is. The newer the vehicle, the more money. So you're probably at the low end. Like if you had something that was 15 years old, you're probably $50 to $80 a year. Something newer, you're probably around the $200 ballpark. If you had, say, a 2020, 21 vehicle. And it doesn't go off of make and model. It's just all grouped together. It's kind of like they have a chart. The first 3 model years is a certain price. The next 3 model years is a certain price. And after so many years, maybe like 15 years and older or something, would be a certain price. So if you drive a $150,000 Porsche 911, your registration fee would be the same as if it was a 2021 911 and mine's a 2021 Toyota Camry. Our registration price would be the same. So it doesn't go off of vehicle value. We used to do that. We used to do a property tax thing many years ago. It would go off what the book value was on a vehicle, but now it's just categorized into based off what year of vehicle you have. So that is a savings for people who drive more expensive vehicles, your $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 vehicles. It's about most of it I can think of. But yeah, you're probably about pretty comparable. So how is the weather down in Phoenix? I bet it's warm today. Ooh. Could be. Any more questions this evening? Some great questions. I appreciate them. Frank, everyone is freaking out about the Great Salt Lake. What is the status of Utah Lake? I meant Utah Lake would also be more valuable since it's not salt water. Yeah, there's a lot of commotion going on about that there. There's actually some stuff being done on a state level and federal level. I think it was Mitt Romney came out, and he's just in the last day or so. There's some stuff going on to help out if something does happen with the Salt Lake. It's got to drop further before you would have any kind of problems. But Utah Lake, I'm not aware of any problems with Utah Lake. So okay. Any more questions this evening before I call it an evening? It's been great. Appreciate all the questions. You can always send me an email or something like that. I'm glad to answer your questions through that there. Hope everybody has a great weekend. This is actually a holiday weekend for Utah. So July the 24th is a state holiday. It is Pioneer Day. This year we are celebrating it on July the 25th. So if you are coming to the state of Utah, it's a state holiday. So businesses, I think quite a few businesses are typically open still. All your major retailers are open. So, and I believe like the government workers, like at Hill Air Force Base, I believe they have to work that day. I don't think they get a holiday for that. So not 100% certain, but I thought that's how it was. So hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will see you next week, next Thursday.